start in a moment, so we'll give it a second here. All right, welcome everyone. Today we are going to be sharing some information about the Viterbo University Dietetic Internship Program. We actually have 2 tracks this year that we'll be discussing, both our on-site and our distance track. So to start out, I'd like to have each of our faculty members give a brief introduction. I'll start. I'm Dr. Morgan Bathkey. I am the department chair of the Nutrition and Dietetics department at Viterbo, and I'm also the program director for our dietetic internship. I graduated from UW Stout with a degree in dietetics and a minor in Spanish. I was able to study abroad in Sevilla, Spain, um, during my undergrad, and we actually are now able to offer a faculty-led program through our dietetic internship where you can travel to Spain and work with Olympic Spanish athletes and provide nutrition information. And the nice thing about that option for your final rotation is that if you decide to do the master's program, that course co-counts as supervised practice as well as your an elective for your master's degree. After I did my undergraduate degree, I did my PhD in nutritional sciences with a minor in cancer biology at the University of Arizona. And I did my dietetic internship at the Carondelet Health System in Tucson. That internship was a focus on medical nutrition therapy. And I also did an emphasis on renal nutrition as well as critical care nutrition, which is why I facilitate the medical nutrition therapy rotations for the internship that we'll talk about in a bit more detail.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Jami. A little bit about me. I graduated from Viterbo in 2002 and then went into the workforce for a little bit, like a little over a decade, and worked mostly in the community side of things. Then I went back to school to get my master's at Winona State. I got a master's in professional development. Like I said, most of my experience is in the community realm. My first professional job was working with the Ho-Chunk Nation, and I was there for 6 years. I did a lot of home visits. I worked with their youth program and then was the nutrition director for 3 years. I also worked with corporate wellness. I've done some contracting with WIC, Organic Valley, and then I have some limited experience in the long-term care setting, as well as clinical settings.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kelsey McClymans, and I am an assistant professor here at Viterbo. I graduated from UW-Madison with my bachelor's in dietetics. I received my master's in nutritional sciences from UW Stout. I went on to do my dietetic internship at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. And then I did my PhD at Iowa State University in nutritional sciences. And I focus on nutrition and brain health, so particularly Alzheimer's disease, and looking at how diet can influence the progression and occurrence of Alzheimer's disease. I'm also really interested in research, and I teach the research classes, and so I'll work with you during those.
Welcome. My name is Tiffany Lien, and I graduated from UW-Stevens Point in 2008, and I went on to do my dietetic internship at the University of Health System in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2009. My internship also was heavily clinically focused, and it was really interesting after doing my dietetic internship, albeit I loved the experience in working in clinical, I actually found my passion working in community nutrition. So I guess the benefit of doing your dietetic internship is that you're going to gain a lot of hands-on experience in all different areas of nutrition and dietetics. So what you go into the field thinking you might want to do may very well change, and that's acceptable. That's completely okay, and that's really normal. And that's the best part about doing an internship. I love Viterbo. The La Crosse area is beautiful, and there's a lot of great opportunities for you to gain, whether that's being outdoors, getting into the community, but it's a wonderful place to be. I'm glad I landed a permanent job here in La Crosse. I predominantly teach in the undergraduate program, so I work with a lot of our first-year students in community nutrition and also in food science, but we do coordinate with our interns a lot. If they are here on campus, we do a lot of different programs together. They might be working in our foods lab, working with some of our undergraduate nursing students. So although I don't work directly with the interns a lot, we do work as a faculty to pull them in to our programming where areas fit. A little bit about myself personally, I've got 3 kiddos, very young, active boys. So we are an active household. We like being outside. We like to do gardening, cooking, and spending time with our family and friends here in La Crosse. So welcome. I hope you take a look not just at Viterbo and our mission and vision and values, but take a broader look at what the local community has to offer as well.
Wonderful. Thank you all for your introductions. So as I mentioned at the start here, we have a new track this year, which is a completely distance track. So we are going to talk about both the on-site track that we've had for decades and this distance track that we'll be offering now starting this fall. And we're also offering the opportunity for priority placement applications this year for the first time as well. If you are nervous about waiting until mid-April and the DICUS match, we might have a solution for you. So my first few slides here are going to apply to both tracks, whether you're thinking you want to be here in La Crosse or you want to be at a distance. These first few slides are going to be information about both, and then I'm going to kind of branch off and provide more details on the on-site specifically, and then the distance. So first is our priority placement application. So this application is basically going to be what you submit to DICUS, but we're giving you the opportunity to submit your application early and be accepted into the program early. So you'll do a personal statement, tell us why you want to come to Viterbo, why you want to be a dietitian, what makes you a good fit. 3 letters of recommendation. Could be from professors, supervisors, maybe somebody that oversaw your volunteer work, a resume, and make sure that you highlight your work and volunteer experience within that resume, and then an unofficial transcript so we can see where your GPA is currently, although I appreciate that a lot of you perhaps won't have all of your final courses, of course, because a lot of you will be graduating in May. And our deadline will be a little bit less than a month from today. So December 5th, we'll have you email our administrative assistant, Peggy Kirky, with all of your materials. And then we'll do Zoom interviews the week of December 6th and 13th. And you will be notified if you've been given a slot in our program by December 17th. And so that should give you a solid 2 months before DICUS applications would be due in February. So that way, if you aren't accepted into our program, you have enough time to look into other programs as well. But it's kind of nice, especially for the distance program, to have the early acceptance because you might be planning to move across the country if you want to do a distance program somewhere far away from where you are. Or if you're doing it, if you'd like to stay at home, it's nice to know that. The nice thing about our internship program being tied to a university is that you can use financial aid. So you can use financial aid for the entire internship as well as student loans. And we are at the graduate level for the entire internship. So even though you may have used up your aid at the undergraduate level, there is a different level for graduate students. And so you may have new financial aid programs or student loans that you can utilize at that level. So that is a nice thing, and that applies for both tracks. And then last, that applies to both of the tracks is our RD exam review. So we want to do whatever we can to make sure that you guys pass that RD exam on the first try. We have access to Eat Right Prep and the Inman review for our RD exam. And they're both online, work at your own pace. You'll have access October to June. So you would graduate in May and then have that access for hopefully that month that you're studying for the RD exam and then be passing it. You do get 3 practice exams through the program, and then you can purchase additional ones for a small fee of about $30. And we do require that you complete at least one practice exam prior to graduation so that you have a benchmark. All right, so now these next few slides, I'm going to give some details about our on-site program. So this would be in La Crosse, Wisconsin. If you want to come and do your rotations in the La Crosse area, Midwest area, so Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa. I've got our cost breakdown here. This is also available on our website. You can see the full tuition is $18,300, and then how the breakdown is for the 3 phases of the internship. The RD exam review session, we generally use funds from working with the Student Dietetic Association to cover this, and I'll talk about that in a bit more detail. And then we have some estimates as far as like lab coats or car transportation, those sorts of things. So our first phase of the on-site internship is what we lovingly refer to as boot camp. And the purpose of this phase is to make sure that everybody's starting off on the same foot. So our interns come from all throughout the country. There might be some interns that finished their undergrad a couple years ago and are feeling a little rusty about community or MNT. And so this course or phase is facilitated by Jami and myself. I do the MNT portion, Jami does the community portion, and we make sure that you have all of the knowledge that you need to be successful in your rotations. There's some lectures by myself as well as dietitians in the area. We use Ergo, which basically is an electronic medical record, and you look at patient charts and write ADIME notes or the nutrition notes for patients. So that way, when you go to your clinical rotations, you feel like you have practice with that. And we also use the simulation lab. So you don't, if you've never been in a hospital, this kind of takes the edge off because our simulation lab looks exactly like a hospital room, and we have dummies that are like real patients, and they have a tube feeding placed and those sorts of things. And then Jami does orientation to the community sites that you'll be working with, tours, health screenings, all sorts of fun community activities. And one of the highlights of boot camp is our organic tour, where the on-site portion of boot camp, you will travel to an organic farm, see what that's all about, work with Organic Valley, which is about an hour from La Crosse. They have an excellent um, corporate wellness program that you can learn more about. And then one of our big projects and one of our highlights from the on-site week of boot camp is Public Policy Day. So hopefully, we haven't been able to for the past 2 years because of COVID. We've had to do everything via Zoom, but we're hoping this year we'll be able to travel to the Capitol in Madison, where we meet with the state representatives and discuss a nutrition public policy concern that you guys work together as interns and determine what that public policy may. It could be malnutrition or school lunches, anything that you guys are interested in, and you present that to the state representative. We have a picture on this slide of all the interns from a few years ago and meeting with Representative. I believe it was it Billings? I think that we're new Schilling.
Yep.
Schilling. I'm like, it rhymes with Billings.
Yeah, Jennifer Schilling, but we've worked with Representative Billings as well. So, yep.
And then hopefully, if we can travel in person, we all go to a nice lunch across the street from the Capitol in Madison. We tour the Capitol building and even have the opportunity to tour the sports performance facility at UW-Madison, which is a D1 sports performance facility. And I already talked to you all about Ergo. We're really excited about that because it uses the EPIC charting format, which essentially all hospitals do use now, with the exception of perhaps the VA. So you really feel like you hit the ground running. Phase 2, then we split our intern class into 2 groups. So we take 14 interns, we put you into 2 groups of 7. Half of you do community during phase 2, and half of you do MNT/food service during phase 2, and then you swap. So if you did community during phase 2, during phase 3, you do MNT, or if you did MNT during phase 2, during phase 3, you do community. So the MNT food service rotations, I facilitate those. On average, we have you do about 32 hours a week MNT and about 8 hours a week of food service. That equates to about 120 hours of food service and just over 500 hours of MNT throughout your rotation. Now, some sites will actually have you do like Thursday is food service day, and then the rest of the days are MNT, or some sites will have you do a 2 to 3 week chunk of food service, and then you do a 5 to 6 weeks chunk of MNT, whatever the facility finds most useful. In addition to, of course, reporting to your site, you have online discussions and monthly meetings with me as well. And this is to give you an idea of the types of places that you can do your MNT food service rotation. We do work with the VA hospital system in both Toma and Madison. The Madison site does offer a stipend as well. So if you're interested in living in the Madison area, there is about a $2,000 stipend that's offered with that rotation. We utilize the Mayo Clinic Health System in both La Crosse, Austin, and Albert Lea. And with the Austin and Albert Lea rotation, there is an opportunity to shadow at Mayo and Rochester. Gunderson Healthcare System is located here in La Crosse as well as in Onalaska and is a large high acuity healthcare system. We've got some other smaller facilities within the La Crosse area. We also have a mental health care facility in Trempealeau County, so if you have interest in the mental health realm. And then lastly, we do offer a rotation through the Federal Medical Center, which is a federal prison in Rochester, Minnesota. This is a unique facility in the United States where the very severely ill prisoners are sent. So you get to see some very interesting cases at the FMC location.
So a little bit about the community nutrition rotation. As Maria mentioned, I facilitate the community portion. So what you will do is do 2 8-week rotations at a community site of your choosing or ranking. We usually have you rank the sites that are available, like rank your top 3, and then we do our best to place you, at those sites, or at least you'll get, one of your top rankings. Some of our community sites include, Maria mentioned the sports nutrition, like we got to tour UW-Madison during Bootcamp typically. So it could be sports nutrition. We've had some interns in the past do like eating disorders, even if it's like on an outpatient basis, we can count that as community. Any corporate wellness settings, WIC, of course, counts as community. The Ho-Chunk Nation usually accepts 2 interns each semester. And so you get a lot of unique experience working with the tribal population. Supermarkets or grocery stores are another good community site. And then we're also open if you have other thoughts on where you'd like to be placed. If you just let Maria and I know, we'll do our best to, set you up at a site that is of interest to you.
Thanks, Jami. So one thing with the Onsite program is that you do have the option of doing an online master's program. And Kelsey, Dr. McLymans, would you like to kind of walk us through this graduate program?
Sure. So you would have priority acceptance into the program if you are a current intern. So that is kind of a nice perk that you get that priority acceptance. We would still have you apply, but you would have more of a priority. It is a completely online program, and you're able to take asynchronous classes. So kind of outside of the hours that you're at your supervised practice, you're able to do your coursework for your master's degree. And there are different emphases for that. So you can take electives based on medical nutrition therapy. You can do electives more based on community and counseling or sports nutrition. And then you're also able to kind of cater your research towards your area of interest. So if you have questions at all, my email is listed there, and I'm more than happy to talk to you about our master's program.
Thank you, Kelsey. All right. I mentioned at the beginning briefly our Student Dietetics Association. So for the on-site program, we require you to be members during your community rotation. It's optional and strongly encouraged during your MNT rotation. And the nice thing about working with them is that it meets your mentoring competency, but also you do a lot of fundraising as you mentor the students. And so you do the spaghetti dinner and apple pie sales in the fall. In the spring, you do like Valentine's Day or Easter type fundraising sales, and then you use those funds to pay for your RT exam review. Maybe you want to travel to a Dietetics Association meeting, those sorts of things. And then, of course, you get to know other future dietitians as well. So, social events, lots of volunteer opportunities, great resume builders. All right, so that's what we have for our distance track. Now I'm going to our on-site track. Now I'm going to move into our distance track that we are offering for the first time this fall, or technically summer. So one of the main differences between the distance track and the on-site track, the master's degree is required as part of the distance track. So if you're kind of on the fence about getting a master's degree, or perhaps already have a master's degree, you're going to want to go the on-site route. With the distance track, it is 39 credits over 12 months, and you will get your internship and your master's degree. So you'll be ready to sit on the RD exam, and we can place you anywhere within the United States and its territories. So even if you want to go to like Puerto Rico, we've actually sent interns there to WIC clinics in the past. So wherever you'd like to go, whether you want to explore living somewhere else or maybe you want to stay closer to home, this is the track for you. I have our cost breakdown here. Again, this is available on our website, but I will point out the cost here is $23,790, and that includes your internship and a master's degree. This is pretty competitive pricing as far as that goes if you look at other comparable programs. So you get a lot of bang for your buck. And then you can kind of see the tuition breakdown here between the different phases. There are 4 phases to the distance track because you are getting that master's degree. So phase 1, you're going to start over the summer. So if you graduate in May, you'll start mid-May or beginning of July, and you'll start with electives that focus on your emphasis. So some options that Kelsey touched on for the on-site program, they're the same for the distance. Maybe you're interested in sports nutrition. We've got nutrition inflammation, obesity prevention. Maybe you want to take mental health counseling. We also have healthcare management options, tons of different options to meet your emphasis needs. And then we do an online boot camp. So it's similar to what we do on site. We do the ergo, we do Zoom lectures, introduction to resources. We just wouldn't have that on-site organic tour or public policy. Those would occur in a virtual format. And then Jami, I'll let you speak on phase 2 here for the community rotation.
Yep. So for the community rotation, like I mentioned during the on-site program, it's very similar. So it's going to be a 16-week session, ideally, maybe 2 8-week sessions. But, if we're not able to secure 2 different 8-week sessions, one 16-week session would also be fine. But again, some of the site options are similar as to what I stated previously, like an outpatient eating disorders clinic, WIC, corporate wellness, sports nutrition, grocery stores. Maybe if you know a dietitian or are interested in learning about like private practice, we could try to seek out a dietitian that does private practice so you can learn more about the business side of things as well. And really, sky's the limit. If you have any thoughts, just let us know and we can try to do some investigation into some new sites as well.
Great. And so phase 3 then would be your medical nutrition therapy / food service. We do these together, and it's similar to the on-site where you do mostly MNT, about 500 hours of MNT and about 120 of food service. And the reason we do them together is most of the facilities where you do MNT will also have food service. So it makes a smart fit. So once you're accepted into the program, Jami, in addition to facilitating our community, she is our clinical coordinator. Our clinical placement coordinator. And so as soon as you're accepted into the program, you let Jami know where you want to do your rotation, and then maybe some preferences. Like maybe you really want to work with somebody in private practice, or you really want outpatient, or you want to do telehealth. And so Jami will work with you to figure out where potential placement sites may be. That's, like I mentioned, the nice thing about our priority application option coming up in December for this distance track. It gives you plenty of time to say, like, you know what, I want to go to New York City, and you can have those clearly identified long before you actually officially join the program or graduate, which is nice. And I think, like Jami said, just letting us know what you're interested in, that is one of the great benefits of our program, is that we're really willing to individualize it and make sure that you're getting the experiences that you really value, whatever they may be. The final phase of the distance track will be finishing your master's degree. So you'll do your rotations from the end of August until mid-May. And then from mid-May through July, you'll be doing your last elective course to finish up the degree. And I've got some more options here again: nutrition and cancer, nutrigenomics, advanced medical nutrition therapy. And as I discussed at the beginning of the talk too, you potentially could take the sports nutrition and the Mediterranean diet course, where you travel to Spain and work with Olympic athletes, and that would co-count as an elective if you took that option. So the videos don't work very well in this platform, but we do have these videos posted on our website. So if you're going to be on site, we have an amazing assessment lab. We've got nutrition counseling rooms where you can do private counseling with members of the community. We've got exam rooms where you can do NFPE, do finger pricks for lipid panels or blood glucose. And then we also have a nice video for our foods lab. Again, if you're on site, we'll have you do like social media tasty videos or like cooking demonstrations for different individuals throughout the community. So I encourage you to check those out. And then at this time, I will open it up and see if anyone has any questions. Feel free to either unmute yourself and ask, or type them in the chat.